Hi, you guys. It's just taking a moment here. Let me make sure I also have it. Okay, I think I have it all. Okay, so I had some problems trying to do it every single one of those steps, from my computer. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure. Put your hand up if you can. Okay. So hopefully I am recording it to YouTube. So if anyone wants to, oops. Oh no. Okay, I had to exit out of that. Hopefully it doesn't confuse anything, but it started to re-talk itself. So hopefully I didn't screw anything up by doing that. Oh no, I lost Hannah. Where did you go? Ah! Okay, you guys, I'm going to share my screen here so I can read the story. I actually I scanned all the pages of my story so I wouldn't have to hold up the book and, having it all around and such. So hopefully that works really well for you guys. There we go. So I spent some time scanning the pictures and then cropping them so that you guys could see the images without me trying to hold the book centered and everything. So hopefully this works for us. I really hope so. So the book I chose is The Tales of Aesop. And because there are just so many really great lessons to be learned from what Aesop chose to write. This is many hundreds of years ago, by the way. And of course, they've been a little edited and changed and images included over all that time. But it doesn't matter if it's today or hundreds or even a few thousand years ago. There are a lot of lessons that have held up over time with us humans. And not to brag in any way, but I do have two degrees in history, a bachelor's and a master's. And so through my studies over time, and I've studied a lot, I did a lot of emphasis on ancient history and then on European history in particular. And what I saw over all those studies is that people are actually pretty much the same. Maybe some of the culture has changed, and of course technology has unbelievably changed, but the way people do things and think, and in particular their desires, have not changed over time, actually. So these lessons really do hold up. It doesn't matter that someone talked about it 1,000 years ago or 2,000 or even 100 years ago or even today. They really do hold up. Some of the things that we really want to think about on a daily basis, the decisions we make. Is this the best decision for me and the people around me? And that, I think it really does hold up. So hopefully you enjoy these. I actually have two of them because they are fairly short, obviously. It's not a whole book. There's about 6 stories in this, but I chose the ones that you probably haven't heard before because I haven't. Now, we've had this book at my home for years. My daughter's 11 years old. But I hadn't heard of these 2 stories I'm going to read you until I had somehow picked this book up one day. I don't even remember where we got it from. As you can see, it's $1.50. So I feel like we probably got it from a thrift store because I'm that kind of person. I love thrift stores. And what else I want to tell you, though, is you've probably heard Master Luten. I feel like she said this about twice on the different mat chats that we've read, how important it is to read. And not just you, because some of you are, you're 6, 10, or even 15 or older years old, but from the time that you are literally born. So I have two children, and they are 9 and 11 now. And because I'm so educated and so interested in just learning, we literally, if you come to my house, we have at least 2,000 books on our shelves right now. And that doesn't include periodicals like a magazine and what we have digitally on a Kindle. What I studied when I first got pregnant was that, and learned, is just having the reading material around makes a big difference. So literally you have a book, you have a magazine, you have a newspaper laying around, even if the child doesn't pick it up, somehow just the having those, some sort of literature around makes a huge difference. And because people who don't read don't just have stuff laying around, right? It's people who do read. So then seeing the parent or someone else in the household picking up the literature and reading it. And then there's, of course, there's a really good chance they're going to read it to the baby, to the toddler, to the small child. And that makes a huge difference when that happens. So they have done studies, many, and they've discovered just having the literature, and then when it's read, makes a huge difference on how well you do in school. So please keep reading. So let's start, you guys. So the first one is The Farmer, the Son, and the Donkey. A farmer and his son were driving their donkey to market, where they were going to sell him. They had not gone far when they met a troop of giggling girls. "Look there!" one of them cried. "Aren't they a foolish pair to be trudging along on foot when one of them might be riding?" When the farmer heard this, he told his son to get up on the donkey, and they went along happily until they came to a group of men talking by the side of the road. My, said one of the men. "Just look at that young fellow riding in comfort while his poor old father has to walk." "Get off that donkey, you lazy boy," shouted another, "and let your father ride." Right away, the son slid off the donkey and the farmer took his place. Before they had gone far, they passed a group of housewives. "Why, you heartless old fellow," cried several of the women at once. "How can you ride when your poor tired child can hardly keep up with you? What mean fathers there are nowadays." So the good-natured farmer pulled his son up behind him, and they both rode along on the donkey's back. When they reached the town, a villager pointed at them. "Tell me," he said to the farmer, "is that donkey yours?" "Yes," replied the farmer. "I would never have thought so," said the villager. "From the way you load him down, you should be ashamed. The two of you are better able to carry that poor beast than he is to carry you." "You are right," agreed the farmer, and he and his son got down from the donkey's back. But how could they possibly carry the donkey? The farmer puzzled over this for a long time. Then at last an idea came to him. Cutting a thick branch from a nearby tree, he trimmed it into a stout pole. With some difficulty, he and his son tied the donkey's feet to the pole and lifted both the pole and the donkey to their shoulders. By the time they reached the town bridge, a whole crowd of people had gathered to hoot and laugh at the funny-looking sight. The donkey, frightened by the racket, took it into his head to kick at the ropes. All of a sudden, he pulled loose from the pole and tumbled off the bridge into the water. Since he was unable to swim, he soon drowned. The farmer and his son hung their heads in shame and started back home. Oh, what happened? Why can't I? There we go. So, oh my gosh, you guys. What did you think of that? What do you think the lesson is for that? Just unmute yourself and let me know. What did you think? Did you have any opinions about any of it? Let me know. Just so we can get a some communication going and see if we can get some other idea from someone else. How about Rosie? Yeah, Rosie?
You shouldn't listen to other people sometimes.
Yes. So these poor guys are walking along. They just want to get the poor donkey to market and sell them, right? Why do you think they might need the money? Do you think they might need the money for food or supplies for their farm or anything, right? You have no idea, but they need the money for something, obviously, since they're willing to sell this donkey. Because usually donkeys are very useful on farms, either as pack animals or as pulling a plow, something, right? So it has to be pretty important to sell this donkey. And as they go along, you see people all along the way, different types of people, right? Trying to tell them what they should do with their donkey and who should be riding and who shouldn't be riding. But did they please anyone along the way, Rylan? No, not a single person, be it the wives or the guys they've passed or the town folk. No one would have been pleased or happy with how they were doing it, right? Did the son or the father complain in the very beginning about, oh man, I wish I could ride that donkey because I wish I didn't have to walk to town? No, not one of them complained about having to walk to town, right? But it was all the other people around them as they passed that tried to tell them how they should be functioning and working through their life when they had already thought they had it planned. Now, what we hope is they would have stuck to their guns, right? Oh, this donkey's used to walking. We're used to walking. Why do we need to ride him? Why do we need to carry him? Can you imagine being a donkey, another mammal like a dog or a cat or a horse, and tying it upside down and trying to carry it? Would you like that? No way. It'd kind of be painful and you get dizzy and it wouldn't feel good, and as an animal they'd start to panic just like the poor donkey does, and he drowns. So we're going to stick to our guns, right? If we know this is the right course for me, follow through, because you've thoroughly thought about it. Now, if you haven't thought about it and you just sort of suddenly made a decision out of nowhere, maybe we do need to listen to some advice. But if you think about it further after the advice and you're like, I listened, I really thought about it, I was empathetic to what you felt, but that's not going to work for me. Or it could even be the opposite, of course, that you do listen and you realize, whoa, I think, yeah, that they have some merit there. But in this story, they thought everything through. They knew what they were doing, and yet they let others influence them in the wrong direction. So let's make sure, think about that sometimes. It does depend on the situation. Of course, always listen to advice. Maybe it has merit. But if you realize that's not going to work for me in this situation with the person I am, then you can continue with what you were originally doing. And you should, because you can't please everyone, unfortunately. Does anyone have a question about that one? Because I have another one that I think is kind of hilarious. Raise your hand. Presley, unmute yourself, honey. Presley? What's your question, honey? Oh, nope, I unmuted you, but you muted back up. There we are, Presley. What was your question, honey?
I have really no question.
Oh, you didn't? Well, you raised your hand, honey, so don't just press all the buttons on your Zoom there, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the next one. Oh, I gotta go back to this there we are. So the frog and the ox. Uh-oh, it's not letting me read the first one because I'm screen sharing. The first line there. A big frog once lived in a small pond. Because he was the biggest creature in the pond, the frog decided he must also be the biggest thing in the world. As he sunned himself on a lily pad, he puffed out his chest with pride. No one anywhere is bigger than I am, he thought. One day, a huge ox came to drink at the pond. So an ox is a castrated male cow or cattle. The frog was amazed, but he refused to be impressed. I suppose you think you're big, the frog called out to the ox, but I want you to know that I can make myself just as big as you. The ox did not reply. He just kept on drinking. If you don't believe me, shouted the frog, just watch. The frog took a deep breath, blew himself up to twice his usual size, but still the ox paid no attention to him. So that's not big enough for you, croaked the frog. Very well, I'll make myself bigger still. He blew himself up even larger. Again, the ox said nothing. He simply turned away and headed for the other side of the pond. He had had enough to drink. This made the frog furious. Taking an enormous breath, he blew, and he blew, and he blew himself up until he burst. That was the end of the big frog in the small pond. So what do you think that one means? Someone just unmute yourself because I can't see everyone here. What do you think there? What in the world? What? Rylan can answer, Destiny. Oh, if I can unmute you. Unmute yourself, Rylan. Tell me, what do you think? Oh, I have Austin. Did you have something, Austin? You unmuted yourself suddenly.
Don't blow yourself up till you burst.
Well, yes, that would be the obvious one. Now, can we blow ourselves up till we burst, though? I don't think we could. Even if we tried to hold our breath and suck in more and hold it, I don't think we can. Our body simply wouldn't let us do that. So not quite that, because this is more of a, remember, it's more of a mental inside of us kind of thing. It's not an outside physical thing. Rylan, were you able to unmute yourself now? There we go. What do you think, Rylan? Yes. Oh, and it says it right there. Yeah. So do you think that oxen cared at all that frog was different, or that frog wanted to be bigger than him? No way. He could care less. I'm an oxen. I just came to this pond to get a drink because I'm thirsty. And here's this frog who's already the biggest at the pond, wants to be as big as or bigger than an oxen. Can a frog be an oxen? No. Can an oxen be a frog? No. If I said, Rosie, I want to be as big as the Statue of Liberty, does the Statue of Liberty care? No way. Can I ever be as big as the Statue of Liberty? No. So I cannot be something that I'm not meant to be. So all of us were meant to be, say, we're going to do our best in school. We're going to be the best martial artist we can be. But there's certain things maybe I'm not meant to be. I could care less about mechanics, so I'm probably not going to be a mechanic, right? Or if you didn't want to be an astronaut, are you going to go and be an astronaut? No, we are along the path that we want to be, that we're destined to be, that we work so hard to be, that we dream of. We can't be something else in the end. Who has some more thoughts for us? No one? Oh, Rylan has a thought again? Destiny, why are you trying to keep her from those thoughts? Unmute yourself real quick, honey. Oh, she's having trouble. So in the end, the frog exploded himself, meaning he is of no more. unfortunately. So we definitely shouldn't try to hurt ourselves in the process of trying to be something that we aren't. Don't hurt yourself in that process, because you're going to hurt yourself mentally and possibly even physically trying to be something that we're not. Remember the story we read in the other, it was the 7 habits of highly effective or successful people, and how, of course, the duck can't run. And when they tried to force him to run like other creatures, he hurt his feet so badly, he couldn't even do what he was good at, right? Which was being a duck, swimming in the pond. And that happened to all the creatures too. They were trying to be forced into something they weren't, and they hurt their actually natural, good, awesome ability trying to be something they weren't. So we should all keep that in mind. And what, didn't that frog already have it good? He was already the biggest frog in the pond, meaning he was like the big daddy there, the big guy. He was in charge maybe with all the other frogs and maybe even the other little swimming creatures in there. And he wanted even more. So keep that in mind for the future, that we aren't necessarily destined to do anything and everything, even if other people are expecting it of you. That we are who we are, and we have our own dreams and things that we want to get, things that we're willing to work so hard for, and it's going to be amazing for us in the future. And we don't necessarily have to be someone else to do that. Okay, you guys, any other questions?
I just have a comment.
Yes,
First
ma'am.
of all, thank you very much. You did a really good job. Let's clap for Miss Nicole. So we're going to get to do this. We're going to get to have this little class until school starts, I think. So we've got about, what, 3 more weeks. But it was a really good lesson. And if you guys really think of that lesson and think of how it applies to your life, it's a very good one, especially when you become teenagers and people try to get you to do stuff that's not good for you, like smoking or drinking or things like that. And you have to be true to yourself and do what you know is right and what you feel good about. So I really like that. And the other thing that I wanted to say is, I wanted to mention the grades that your kids get, because who here would like to get really good grades? Who here would like to get really good grades? Everybody, right? So part of having a lot of books in your house and reading a lot and being around that translates to good grades. What kind of grades do your kids get, Miss Nicole?
We haven't had a B yet, so we're
straight A's. That's pretty good.
along.
Listen to her advice, guys. She's a smart lady. Listen to her advice. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And you guys, just a quick reminder, remember, I know we have a few older ones on here right now. We have a CIT meeting tonight at 6:15. And then after that at 7:15, we have Leader's Sword. And then at 8, we have Master's Knife. So hopefully we'll see you guys and at least one of those tonight. And have a great day, you guys.
Bye, everybody. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. See you guys tonight.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.